Hey everyone, I hope you are ready for a long workout training log because this is definitely going to be one, and I have already cut
No
out a lot of
pauses.
footage. I was tempted to cut out a lot of these squat sets, but I figured that
One,
since this is the last time Glenn's doing 5x5, I'm going to keep all 5 sets in there.
two,
He is working with 325 pounds here, and this is
three,
a threes day for me, so I decided, it's only 3 sets, and I
four,
attempted some singles. Just keep it in there. So one of the things, as I mentioned in the last squat video,
five.
Glenn had been slowing himself down this whole time. So in this workout, he was really trying to work on picking up the speed. This is me with 325 as well. Felt pretty good. I was really happy with doing something that actually felt good as opposed to how the deadlifts have been going, the overhead press has been going. It's just all feeling terrible, but the squats still felt nice today when I was starting warming up, so that was a good sign. And I talked with Glenn about
A
this.
little
You will
bit
see
deeper.
he's cutting depth a little bit, I believe, on his first
Two,
one. The second one looked pretty good. This is a front angle, so that can be
three,
deceiving. But the third one also looked good. And I just kept mentioning to him, now that he's
four,
trying to speed himself up, he's not sure when he's hitting depth. He's got to practice that. So we want to make sure that he's going a little bit past parallel so that we won't have a problem if we do end up doing a powerlifting meet this year. Now on to my second 3 set with 365 pounds. Again, this is feeling pretty good.
one,
Look at that, pretty decent speed. All in all, just really happy with how everything's feeling at this point in the workout. And it's nice. Nothing to really complain about. You'll notice that we are back in our winter clothes, and that's because Michigan is just all sorts of crazy. We are back to being cold again. And I believe in this workout, it was just a little bit above freezing, and we had some snow on the ground still from
the
that
drive and the
snowstorm.
bar.
So definitely not enjoying that one bit. I really liked the couple of warm days we had in February, and I'm hoping that we're going to have an early spring, and it's just going to stay warm. I can see Glenn is already starting to really feel this workout on his third set now. And again, as things get heavier, everybody has that tendency to want to cut depth a little bit. Now on to my 3+ set. This is 410 pounds. And for those of you who are watching this for the first time and you don't know, I have different types of 45s. So that gray plate is a 45-pound plate as well. It's just a different kind. And here just really was surprised that I got this many reps with how bad everything else has been feeling. But this is, like I said, a pretty good workout up to this point. Right here I was deciding, do I want to go for another rep? And I decided to myself, I really wanted to save a little bit for doing some singles after that. Back over to Glenn. This is his fourth set. He is really looking forward to being done with this.
One,
And again, just pointing out that he is getting a lot better at maintaining an upright torso. You'll see me walk over there to the side. I wanted to see the depth, and that one looked good to me from the side. And that's where the judges are going to look. So any of you that are doing any sort of powerlifting competition, don't just assume you're squatting to depth, even when you're watching a video, unless you're actually sitting right there where a judge would sit, or have the camera set up right where a judge would sit. I would not just assume that you're going to be good. But those last couple ones where I was looking at from the side looked good. And my singles today are 455 pounds. So a little bit lighter than I'm doing on the 531 day. Little slow there, but again, felt good, and I will take it. Because at this point, I just wanted to do something that felt good and made me feel like I was actually moving weight as opposed to having gravity defeat me day after day
one,
after day. At some point, we need a victory, right, guys? And Glenn
two.
here at his last
Keep that
set,
chest
just
up.
trying to knock these out.
Three,
and he's just continuing to be impressed with how much easier it is. Now, one of the things that I do want to caution anybody that has taken anything I've said about speeding up the squat wrong, you have to be careful that you don't dive bomb the squat out of control. That's a really good way to blow your back out, to really hurt your legs, your hips. And if you go too fast, where you lose control, then you are actually making the bar significantly heavier. There's a couple studies about that where, off the top of my head, I want to say it was like 146 or 149% increase on the weight if you dive bomb it and you don't control it. So what you want to do to really maximize that stretch reflex is go down under control, and then last couple of inches you speed it up so that you can build that stretch reflex. Now our back off set, just keeping this in here so I have a record of where we're at in the reps. Glenn is using 225 pounds, 2 plates, and the goal is to do 10 plus. And as soon as he manages to get 20, we are going to be adding weight to him, and he's really got to build up the reps. You know, that's something that I think we both struggled with in the strongman competition when it came to reps, because we were training the power lifts like a power lifter. We had no endurance for reps. Granted, this weight is nowhere near high enough to really challenge us for what a competition would be, but we're kind of building up to that. Want to keep pushing the strength while also building up the endurance. And I believe the estimated weight of the ATV squat in the competition was 355.
Oh, come on!
And it's kind of funky because it's on a pendulum. If you haven't seen the strongman video, I would check that out. Just go to my competitions playlist, and it's there. But it has a pendulum, so it gets heavier at the bottom, gets a little bit lighter at the top. Definitely a very interesting apparatus. Now I'm using 245 again, and I was really hoping to push past 15 reps, but it just was not going to happen today. It took everything I had just to be able to do that. And all in all, pretty happy with it, even though I didn't push past the reps. Everything felt good. Everything was moving smooth, and that is the best that I can ask for right now. Just I want something to go right. And I'm saying this now because we're about to go into benching, and as everybody knows, benching is where everything falls apart for me. So enjoy this brief moment of victory in the squats. Let's celebrate. And that's over. All right. So today on the bench, we decided that we were going to go back to how we used to work out for the bench and just really try and get some enjoyment in there. We've both been struggling with the bench. Glenn's having some issues with foot positioning and twisting. So what we do is we start with 2 plates, 225, and we do as many reps as we can without completely failing. So you go till you think, if I do one more rep, it's either going to be really ugly or I won't get it. And then you stop, and then we add 20 plates. You've heard me talk about this many times. We've done it with deadlifts. I do it with overheads a lot. I just really enjoy this type of training because it does everything. You're getting your volume in there. You're doing a nice amount of reps. You're getting some hypertrophy work because of the amount of reps. You're also going to increase the intensity, so you're going to get some strength gains in there. And because you're doing so many reps, it's a really good way to work on technique, get everything in there. And you'll notice I have really widened my grip now. So getting that high volume in there, that large amount of reps, really is going to allow me to practice on the bench with the new positioning. Anytime you change anything, you are going to have to learn how to do everything again. So as I was mentioning in the last couple of videos, bench has just been feeling terrible for me. It's been hurting my shoulder, it's been hurting my elbow, my bicep. Everything has felt wrong. I've been playing all sorts of different hand positions, and I decided to go wider. So benching for the longest time, I did narrow grip where my thumb was halfway past the top joint into the smooth. So I was very narrow. It felt really great until I hurt my shoulder and the rotator cuff tear. And for whatever reason, that has made that feel bad. So I took my grip out a little bit, and I was working on that. It went pretty well, got back up, and then it started hurting my bicep. So I'm hoping that this pinky on the rings is going to work well for me. It definitely feels stronger off the bottom, but it feels like my triceps are not in as good of a position, so we'll see how that goes. But as I've been mentioning several times, my triceps are now the weak point. So Glenn there, 265 pounds now. And over to me. I'm trying to get a little bit of leg drive back in. One of the things that I've done is really push my knees out wide to try and avoid coming off the bench with my butt. The problem with that is you keep constant tension in your legs, so you don't really get a lot of good leg drive. But I was really happy with that. 5 reps for me with 265. Now we're up to 285. This is the second time that Glenn has been benching this weight since he's come back, and gets this really easy for 3 reps. Looked really good, although I think he said his butt started to come off the bench. And as I mentioned, he's got some foot positioning issues that we've got to work out. And my second rep just looked terrible, but I just wanted to try and get a 3rd rep in there, and I just stalled out. As I mentioned, my triceps just don't feel like they have any power in this position. And I mean, I was 3 inches from lockout. That's just terrible to fail there. And then I want to try 305, so put it on there. He just didn't have it today, and I decided I wanted to try it as well, and it was not happening today. I've completely given everything I have. Now this is something I really wanted to try. I've seen a lot of people doing different things with T-bar rows, and this is just allows you to do one arm at a time. You don't have as much pressure on the lower back as you do in an overhead press, and it allows you to really just focus on lifting with your arm, getting a little bit of oblique work in there. Glenn's twisting a little bit more than we wanted to, but I'm just putting the first set in here because the video went way too long. And I know some of you, like Richard, really want to see a long video, but the problem is I can't talk that good, and narrating these does become quite a bit of a chore. As it is, I've already been talking for quite a while, and going back into this, we did do the set with leg drive after this, but what I really love about this is it really lets you focus on the one arm, get the drive in there with the arm and the tricep. I'm feeling it in the shoulder, feeling it in the tricep, and you don't have to worry about dropping the dumbbell or getting it into place. It's really, really nice to be able to do that. As I mentioned in the last video where we were doing some dumbbell overheads, we were kind of worried about dropping the dumbbells and having them break again. That's one of the advantages of actually working out in a gym or at Richard's place with all the super awesome dumbbells, because those you can probably drop and they're not going to break. And this was a little bit of a heavier set that we did. It's got 325s on there, so I have no idea what that ends up being with the bar and a pendulum position, but it felt really good. We also did a set with just the 225s, and then when we pushed it, I believe we just used the 225s, and that was just to really work on some power and feeling that. But you can see I'm still moving, so you've got to really work at keeping your balance. And the left arm just feels so awkward, so very, very awkward. And now this last part, this is where we get into why the video is so long. This is a superset, and I should really call it a superset. I don't know how many supers it really is. But we did a lot of stuff back to back. Tried to get a lot of accessory work in here. And we started off with the wide grip lower pulley row. Try and get some lat activation in there, get some good work. Then we went back over to the T-bar row and did a raise with the T-bar. So this right here is a little bit of a front raise combined with a lateral raise, and it just felt awesome on the shoulder. Lateral raises are one of the things that just really hurt my right shoulder, and I've kind of been avoiding doing anything to focus on that area because of the pain. But this is something that didn't hurt. It definitely worked that area. Even felt a little bit of rotator cuff work in there. So I think this is something that we're going to keep doing from time to time, just to really work on building up the shoulder, get those weak areas ironed out, get them removed. And obviously, because this is not something that is really necessarily recording worthy and it's more of a prehab, I probably won't record it all the time. Just kind of showing you a different angle here on Glenn. You can see there at the bottom is kind of using the lateral as it comes out. Then there's a little bit of anterior delt or the front delt as you're coming up, and then it goes back in and even gets a little bit of the rear delt at the back. It's really awesome. I'm sure that any of you who are into bodybuilding and just want something different to do for shoulder days, that would work for you. And I would be careful not to go too heavy. I could see that getting really messy quickly. But we are going to probably try adding maybe 2.5s, maybe 5-pound plate, see how that feels
all the way down
from there. The goal is to get reps in, not to just destroy the shoulder. And now we're doing some GHR. Glenn wanted to do these unweighted, and he's just done.
Alright, hack squats.
Yeah, that'll work.
And, you know, after doing 5x5 with 325, I can see why he was just having some problems with his hamstring.
Should take him a stand
Went over to the hack squat, and for those of you who have seen this in the last video, this hack squat is awesome. Got a really good deal on this thing, but it is both a hack squat and a leg press. Really cool thing. And if you ever have the space and extra money, I cannot recommend getting one of these enough. Would definitely be used a lot more if I wasn't trying to push the power lift so hard right now. But this is something that I just love doing as an accessory. However, Glenn's having some problems with his knees on the hack squat, and just not feeling it at all. Still getting some
Go
cramping.
super wide instead. No? Alright.
So he decided not to push it. Didn't want to hurt himself, which is a good plan. No reason to try and push yourself too hard on an accessory movement. Then we went over to the chesticle flies. And as I mentioned, this thing has 3 different handles. And it lets you hit every single angle supposedly on your chest. And so we decided we were going to do the bottom and then work all the way up, doing several reps of each one, just to try and make sure we hit everything. And you can see Glenn at this point, he's breathing hard, he's working hard, definitely getting a good amount of accessory movement out of this little super set. I think that was 5 movements, right? So rows, T-bar extensions or raises, GHR, hack squat, and chest flies. Yeah, that's 5. All right. Check that out. Counting on the narration. See what I said? It kind of gets hard to come up with things to say. You know, what is there to really talk about?
Keep going.
So now over to me. And one of the things I don't like about not having the chain on here right now is it ends up hitting the sides of the rack half the time. So I really need to get a chain back on this so we can actually set up further away from it. Right now the chain is actually making it so the pulley can work because I tore the cable up and replaced it with a shorter cable, so I had to use the chain on the back of it to actually make it workable.
Fun.
Now we're going to go over to the extensions, which I am going to do in fast motion because they took a little while. And I really don't feel like narrating all of that. There's not really that much to say other than what I already said. Felt good, cool stuff, do them, yeah. Alright, now to the GHR. And I decided I wanted to try and do this with weight.
This whole, oh jeez, it's crazy. Totally forgot you had it on.
Look at me getting on there awkward. I'm like a really heavy elephant seal trying to move around.
Should
Go
be
work
easier,
at
would you
SeaWorld.
think?
I don't think I'm pretty enough to be an attraction of SeaWorld. What do you guys think? Could I
Two.
make it? Could I make it? Put some
3,
white spots on me and a fin. Be a killer whale.
4,
And I'm only using the 10-pound plate
5,
today. And this is already feeling pretty brutal.
6.
But I'm just happy that my brother fixed the GHR. I don't know if I mentioned that, but my brother welded the GHR back together so that we could use it. I saw it
9.
a couple weeks ago. The weld had only been done on the side of that machine, and the front was breaking apart. So my brother welded the front and back, put it together, did an awesome job, and really sturdy now. Still squeaks. But it is not going to basically break in half. And, you know, there's some tender areas there that if it broke would be very unpleasant. So I'm glad to say that that is safe now. Now over to the hack squats. And for me on the hack squats, one of the things that I really try and do is bring my legs closer together. You will notice if you watch me do any sort of actual event or lift, I'm always very wide. My squats are wide, my deadlifts wide, farmer's picks, everything is wide. So the hack squat allows me to focus on something that I don't normally do, just getting a couple reps in there. And I think the goal was to do 10 on everything for this, except for, of course, the chesticle machines, because everybody's going to have some chesticles, right? And I think it was 555 for those.
1,
But these are
2,
definitely
3,
difficult for me.
4.
I do not know why it makes my chest burn so much. I'm going to blame the fact that I am fat and lazy and don't like working on my chest at all. No bodybuilding in me. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this workout.
3,
If you guys are still watching this at this point, you guys are
5,
crazy. But go lift something heavy, take it easy, and I will try and get some more videos out that aren't training logs soon. So stay tuned.
4,